what percentage of the blame does Steve Nash deserve?
Before I give you a percentage of the blame, can we start with this lie? Steve Nash was fired. Sean Marks calls him into his office. Steve, we're relieving you of your duty. Okay. Is that mutually? It's not like Steve Nash went up to Sean Marks and said, Sean, I'm not getting it done. I really think you should put someone else in there. And he's like, okay, I agree with you. I'm sorry that happened. That's not how it happened.
I don't know that.
You know, good.
I don't know that for sure.
You know, Skip, that's what they do. Black coaches never mutually get to part. They were fired.
Okay, well, that's a whole different story.
But anyway, I'm going to give Steve Nash 5% of the blame. The moment Kyrie Irving said, we don't need a coach, this is what he said, October 1st, 2020. We don't need a coach. I think it's also going to change the way we see coaches. I don't really see us having a coach. You know what I mean? KD could be coach. I could be head coach. The moment you stripped him of that, Skip, he had no authority. I feel very comfortable. How dangerous would a lion be if I took out all of his teeth and declawed him? He's not nearly the lion. The moment a player can emasculate and the team does nothing, the ownership, general manager, or even your best player doesn't correct him or doesn't check him, he got no power, Skip. He's rendered mutual.
Did he check them back?
No.
No.
Skip, what head coach unless it's Pop can check a superstar? And Pop got to be careful. Remember, he tried to check Kawhi. What happened? Boop, 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 walked on out the door. So coaches are very, very, especially in the NBA, they're very, very cautious of how they tread lightly. They're always walking on eggshells around superstars. So I can't blame him because Kyrie takes time off. And I'm not saying that the Kyrie didn't have something going on. But, Skip, you don't even tell the head coach, you don't tell management that you're stepping away?
Nope.
Skip, a professional is what you do. A pro is who you are. Now, notice now, Skip, what I said. A professional is what you do. A pro is who you are. I'm listening to KD talk last night. KD don't even seem upset at all. Skip, somebody tell me they lose their job, I might not even know that person. I feel bad. Kevin Durant didn't even seem bad. You know, things like that happen all the time in the NBA. Really? That happened on your watch. Skip Bayless tell me for the last 6 years you've been the best player, and the best player in the NBA got a coach fired on his watch, and you don't feel bad? Damn. The problem
well, he tried to get him fired in the offseason.
You know that.
Thank you.
Of course not.
Yeah.
It took me 5-6 games to get it done, but I got my wish.
Yep.
Skip, the problem that Steve Nash had, he had two exceptional skilled offensive players. Neither one are a leader. You look at Kevin Durant when he's had his most success, Skip, he was in Golden State. And Steph and Clay and Draymond and the culture shielded him. He could just go hoop, as he likes to say.
I'll agree with that.
Kyrie Irving, he had his most success in Cleveland. LeBron James was a de facto leader.
I agree.
He goes to Boston. He tries to lead, it falls apart. The moment he leaves, they go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now he's gone, several years removed, they're back in the NBA Finals.
Okay, but I will say quickly about Kyrie. He has a dominating personality and will.
Yeah.
But it's solo. It's not to lead the locker room. It's just all about Kyrie.
Of course. Okay. Skip, and what should have happened, and KD's like, well, I don't want to be the leader, but you're the best player. Sometimes it requires you to check a teammate, to say this is not the way to do it. Man, I can't tell Kyrie, a grown man, it's not my job to do this. It's not my job to do it. But as a leader, it is. And that's why you haven't had success. In OKC, he wasn't the leader. Russ was the leader. Russ was the leader.
That's because management made Russ the leader, because management loved Russ to a fault.
Yeah, but KD doesn't want to lead. He doesn't want that responsibility. The responsibility that comes along with being a leader. Because guess what? Leaders are going to get blamed. Kevin Durant has been able to escape blame his entire career. Why? Because he had Russ in OKC. Now he's like, he got Kyrie. We blame Kyrie for the shortcomings of Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. We blame OKC for his shortcomings in OKC. So Kevin Durant for 14, 15 years has been able to escape blame.
Well, wait a second. Why did Kevin Durant go to Brooklyn in the first place?
Skip.
Because his best friend Kyrie said, let's go to Brooklyn. Remember that All-Star game? Yeah. We got two maxes. Yes. Two maxes. Let's go there.
Skip. But like you said, he got a scapegoat. When it doesn't go well, who we blame? Kyrie didn't get vaccinated. Kyrie was conspiracy theorist. Kevin Durant. What KD doing? Why Kevin Durant don't get...
I don't think he viewed Kyrie as a potential scapegoat. I just think he shrugged and said, yeah, I got 2 rings. Yeah, I'll follow you to Brooklyn.
even if you don't view him as that, who's getting the blame for what's transpiring in Brooklyn? You have yet to hold Kevin Durant responsible.
Well, who deserves the blame?
See?
Well, here we go again. Who was the focal point of the vaccination crisis last year? It wasn't Kevin Durant.
Last I checked, the best player always shouldered the lion's share of the blame when things went wrong. And when things went good, he got the credit.
Okay.
That's how, but not with Kevin Durant. So I'm only going to give Steve Nash, I blame Joe Tsai and I blame Sean Marks because they gave these guys this power. And everybody can't handle power because they use it in an abusive manner. They abuse the power and the privileges that they have.
Yep.
Kevin Durant did, Kyrie did. And when things got ran amok, Steve Nash bore the brunt of it. Kevin Durant wanted Steve Nash. He wanted him.
He did.
And then turned his back on the man. After the man let him do whatever he wanted to do, let Kyrie do it. They gave the keys to the kingdom to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And they ended up locking the man out of his own. They locked the coach out.
Okay. Tell me when you're finished.
5% goes to Steve Nash.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
Good. My turn. I'm going to give the Steve Nash situation 75% of the blame. But I don't hold Steve Nash accountable for said situation because, help me out here, did he hire himself?
No.
Did he walk into Sean Marks' office with a gun in his hand and hold it to his head and say,
no,
you must hire me?
No.
Sean Marks chose Steve Nash. Am I correct?
Correct.
That's not Steve Nash's fault, just the way it's not somebody's fault if they get drafted high by a team and they fail.
Correct.
Well, they didn't draft themselves.
Correct.
That team chose them.
Right.
Sean Marks made the ultimate blunder by hiring Steve Nash and subjecting him to the chaos that was about to ensue in that locker room. I've been around Steve Nash enough to know over the years, just covering the teams that he played for, to tell you he is a truly nice human being. Way too nice for the job that he was entrusted to uphold.
Okay.
Nice to a fault. He was the leader of those Phoenix teams that never won a championship, but he won back-to-back MVPs. I didn't think he deserved the second one, but the point is, he did do that.
He got them.
Back-to-back MVPs. It's hard to do at about, he's listed at 6'3".
What do you mean, 6'1"? 6'2", maybe?
Maybe 6'2", maybe. But the point is, it's hard to do, and he did that. But it was a while back, and I think Kyrie had little to no respect for the fact that this man, as a point guard, as a distributor and an orchestrator of 7 seconds or less offense under Mike D'Antoni in Phoenix, won back-to-back MVPs. I think Kyrie shrugged and said, and here we went. And Steve Nash let them run over him from day one. The day, I think it was on Kevin's podcast, that Kyrie said, we don't really need a coach, which you just read. From that moment forward, that's when Steve Nash should have stepped up the very next day and said, I beg to differ. They need a coach because I am the coach, and what I say is going to go with this basketball team. But he did not do that. He just let it lay, and he let it fester and grow, and it took on a life of its own.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. What professional would utter those words? No matter what you think of him, you might say that privately to your homeboys, or you might say that privately to your agent, or maybe a loved one. But would someone even utter that?
No, I'd never heard of it before. And yet, Steve Nash was the unquestioned leader of teams that didn't win championships, but he was the nice guy leader. There was no tough love to him. It was all sweetness and light. And I was told by several sources, I wrote a lot about this, those Suns teams went to dinner together a lot, led by Steve Nash, who would orchestrate the dinners, the off-day road dinners. And they were very tight-knit because it was almost cliche-ridden. It was almost Boy Scoutish. It was old school. We live and die together. We are brothers. And all the cliches that you were raised with, Steve believed. And his team believed. And it was sort of like an age ago in the NBA. And now it's all changed.
These guys playing PlayStation. They're on social media. They try to get together with our job.
No, they're not trying to do that. So all of a sudden, Steve gets the opportunity. Remember, he'd never been a head coach before. And all of a sudden, you could say, given what black coaches get strapped with, you know, they get the dregs. They always get the worst jobs. And then you're like, they failed. Well, and what did you expect?
You ain't coaching KD out the gate.
Okay. Well, who gets KD and Kyrie? Well, be careful what you wish for, because he had no experience doing any of this. He had no game management experience whatsoever. And I watched night after night as the games just ran amok on him. He just seemed lost. He finally, the other night, threw a big fit, and it felt like acting to me. It felt like somebody told him, Steve, maybe Sean Marks or Joe Tsai said, Steve, at some point, you got to show a little emotion, like you got a pulse. Okay, watch this. I got a pulse. I'm going to throw a fit. And they still lost the game, right? Because nobody bought it in the locker room, because they never bought into Steve Nash in the first place, because all he wanted to do was talk about these sort of ephemeral X's and O's. You know, it works like this. And I read a quote from Seth Curry the other day. I probably won't be able to put my fingers on it. That he just talked about how, here it is, Seth Curry. Here's the essence of who they were under Steve Nash. Last year, this is looking back to last year when they got blown out and swept in the playoffs. We just kind of came in and played pickup basketball. This is Seth Curry, obviously Steph's brother. We skipped a lot of the steps as far as the basics of what you're doing defensively and offensively. We just really got out there and we were just relying on pure talent to try to win games. Well, that's true. That's it. But you're not just relying on pure talent. You're just relying on his talent and his talent. It's a two-man show on offense. Is it his turn or is it his turn? And maybe every once in a while, Seth or Joe Harris or Patty Mills, they might get the odd three just on the clock winds down to nothing. And that's how they played basketball. So Steve Nash wasn't even a tactician enough. He couldn't even impose his will on the offense, let alone on the defense, because those Phoenix teams that Steve played for, they didn't play a lick of defense. It was a complete afterthought. There was no idea. How do you defend the pick and roll? They didn't work on it. They didn't scheme
They were tremendous in the pick and roll, because he and Amari Stoudemire at the time were the best pick and roll guys.
They were unstoppable.
But normally when you're good at something, Skip, you have a hard time defending it. I don't know why, but damn, you should already know all the answers.
So Steve Nash, he was exactly as a head coach who he was as a player. It was all offense and no defense. But Steve Nash as a player, he would just be the sun in their universe. He would have the ball dribbling it in a little semicircle, you know, right in the middle of the floor, and everybody, the stars would revolve around him. Well, he was just playing on instinct too, because Phoenix was just playing pickup basketball, and all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, you guys just do it. You guys are really good. Just go do it. It won't work, because some nights you'll both get hot. And if you both get hot, you'll have a chance to win the game, right? Okay, but in the bigger picture, it's not going to happen enough, because you stop nobody on the other end. And it's just hard in this league when you're playing against teams that really care about defense and rebounding and winning as a team and actually sharing the basketball. It's hard to beat them over 48 minutes. It's just they're too talented on their side. And they're doing it the right way, and you're doing it exactly the wrong way, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if Steve Nash's Nets could have played you a game of horse, and that would be how you'd win or lose the game, they might have a pretty good shot, right? But they're not playing horse, okay? And if the Globetrotters that are Kevin and Kyrie, if they could play the Washington Generals every night, you could win a lot of games, because you'd win every game, right? Because the Generals were just there to make it look good, right? Okay, but they're not playing the Washington Generals. They're actually playing NBA teams. And last night, they were actually playing the Chicago Bulls, who are now only 4-4. But it got so bad in the fourth quarter. I'm like, what are you doing? Zach LaVine, in the fourth quarter, they were just, who else?
He was shooting wide open threes.
And Dragic. They're just like, do you understand these guys can really shoot it?
NBA player gets hot, Skip. You better do something. You better deny him the ball, or you better run two at him. You better do something. But if you continue to do what you've done, Skip, Zach LaVine was just taking shoot-around threes.
Shoot-around threes. No hands. In fact, I would say It's like 10 or 15 feet from the nearest defender, and he just standing out there saying, really?
But Skip,
okay.
If you look at the starting lineup, Royce O'Neal is really the only guy that's known for defense on the perimeter. That's not what Kyrie's known for. That's not what Joe has. That's not Kyrie. That's not KD. No. So these guys caught fire, and then guess what? You get outscored in the second half. You got to score, 56-41. And you lose the ball game. Skip, in 2020, KD played 35 of 72 games. In 2021, he played 55 of 82 games. In 2020, Kyrie played 54 of 72 games. In 2021, he played 29 of 82 games.
You know why? Yeah. That was the vaccination problem.
And so, and Skip, but here's the thing. If these guys stepped out of line, what authority did Steve Nash have? Could he suspend a player? Could he fine a player? Could he bench a player? He had no authority. He's a figurehead, just like Mike McCarthy is at the Dallas Cowboys. That's what he was at the Brooklyn Nets. He had no authority. They robbed him of that. Sean Marks allowed Kyrie to do this and Kevin Durant to do this. They robbed him of his ability to coach.
Yep.
And then you say, well, he ain't coaching. How can he? You robbed him of that.
Unless he stepped up and said, I'm in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I don't care what you say. I'm going to run this show, and you're going to answer to me. If not through suspension, just face to face, you're going to answer to me. But he's not confrontational. He's way too nice of a guy.
But Skip, the thing is about that, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Do you think Kyrie thinks that Steve Nash is a better player than he was?
No.
Thank you.
But I'm not sure he thinks anybody in the history of the game is a better player.
Clearly, Kevin Durant was a better player. How do you get through to a guy that they look at you as less than? You got the job because you his homeboy. Y'all played together. You ain't no That's how they looked at this man. And look at what they gave up. They gave up 3 first-round picks, 4 pick swaps, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Taurean Prince, and Kuritz. Mm-hmm. You gave up all that. Why did you give up that? Because that's what KD wanted. He wanted James Harden. Kyrie wanted James Harden. Now Sean Marks says no player was consulted. You've been consulting with everything. Everything you did, you consulted KD and Kyrie. Okay. Now all of a sudden you make this move, you ain't consult nobody.
All right, so I hear all the above. You could argue that Kyrie is uncoachable, and by association, it makes KD uncoachable. Because remember, KD flat out wanted out from under Kyrie.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he's forced to stay. Now you have uneasy truce to start with, and it gets stickier and stickier until it explodes. And it's very possible that Joe Tsai promised Kevin Durant during the summer.
Well, hey, let's see how I start up. Don't start out with
I don't want to make it look like I gave in to you. I just crumbled at your feet. Let me just get the year started, and I'll take care of it soon into the year. And obviously,
you ain't fired this man, Skip, because after they got blown out that one game and they had the players only meeting, they won the next game. They won the next game. You fire him the day before he's supposed to play after you won a game. You had all them games. You won a game, and then you lose. You didn't fire him. Lose, didn't fire him. You win, now we're going to get rid of it. Now it's time to mutually part ways.
Beat Indiana, who was playing back-to-back in your place, had to play 2 games at your place.
But that's my thing, Skip. My thing is, this just didn't come about.
Yeah.
This was already in the works. They were just saying, how can we finesse this to make it seem like we do? No, you was gonna fire this man all along.
Okay, I'm gonna make one final statement here, and we will delve and dive into this much deeper later. I believe that Ime Udoka is just what the doctor ordered for this team. Maybe Dr. Freud, maybe Dr. Phil, maybe Dr. Ruth. I don't know which doctor it is, but the doctor ordered Ime. He is the perfect fit for this team because I do think he will take control of the locker room, and I definitely think he will instill and install a defensive mindset that is not there whatsoever, obviously.
Yeah, but you can only make with what you have the ingredients with. You don't have the ingredients of a defensive team. You have the ingredients of an offensive team. Kevin Durant or Kyrie, your 2 best players, really don't play defense.
So you're telling me you can't make chicken salad out of chicken?
You cannot. And when is Kyrie brought into a system? Kyrie's always thought he was above the system.
Okay, we will see. But I thought the Celtics were the same way last year, and they got off to a rocky start, and then it took off.
Well, it's easy, Skip. It's easy to teach young men than to repair broken men. Older man. How old is KD? So now all of a sudden, you're KD, I need you to sit in the chair. At 7 foot tall, 33, 34 years of age, KD, I need you to sit in the chair. Kyrie, I need you to sit.
You still think it's a disaster? I don't.
Until 7 becomes a leader, until Kyrie Irving becomes not a problem, Kyrie, don't you be the problem. That's what Joe Tsai and Sean Marks should have went to him. Kyrie, don't be the problem. Kevin Durant, I need you to be a leader. Stop talking about all I want to do is hoop, 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 hoop. You are the leader.
I think both of those young men, still young men, are secretly yearning for somebody to say no to them. That's what I think. And here we go.
Whatever.
Yep.
Well, Cleveland said no, and what did Kyrie do? Booked it. He booked it when they told him, no, we're not going to give you what we give Goat James. He said, well, I'm gone. I want to run my own team, Boston. Either you trade me to Boston or I'm going to have knee surgery and miss the whole year. Got him to Boston. What happened, Skip?
Well, Kyrie did lead the Cavaliers to a championship. He led them.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, Skip. Ain't nobody. Everybody gave LeBron James, they moved him to Mount Rushmore because they see what Kyrie's been since he left LeBron. They like, Goat, how did you do this? How did you become Dr. Ruth, Dr. Phil?
You're talking about the phony guy.
That's why they moved him to the top.
Yeah.
He had to deal with that.
All right, we'll delve later into this.
We will. And Shannon, to your point about no players supposedly being consulted, after the loss, by the way, last night to the Bulls, KD said he was shocked by this move. Jacques Vaughn is the interim head coach for the Nets right now.
You buying that, Skip Bayless? No.
We'll discuss in a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
We got a ton to get to this morning. It is such a packed show. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.